Hello everyone, and let's go ahead and get started. We're going to jump into the building process of this webinar. Now, most people think building and deploying a production-ready AI agent is very complex, but today we're going to build two. We're going to go over everything in under 20 minutes. Because no, this does not require a huge team, coding knowledge. It's very simple with the new Zenphi AI Studio. By the end of this session, my goal is for you guys to understand just how easy it is for your employees to interact with these agents, to be able to submit requests naturally using language that most people use, no coding necessary, no technical knowledge. We're going to go over how these agents collect data, but most importantly, I want you guys to be able to understand just how governed these agents can be, how you can make sure they operate within strict guardrails, making sure that they don't use information you don't want to use, they don't give information to users that shouldn't be seeing that information, and much, much more. So we have a lot to cover, so let's go ahead and jump on into the first workflow. This is a workflow for the first agent. It's to be able to request access to a specific shared drive, let's say. So it starts with a form where they can select what drive they want access to for how long. So I'll quickly go over the steps in the flow. It finds the manager. It adds the information to a Zenphi table for the request. It assigns a task to the manager. If approved, the status is then changed. The access is given, so they're added to the shared drive. It waits the number of days they selected and then deletes them for compliance purposes. However, if it's rejected, the status is updated, and obviously you can add more steps here if you want to send them a notification via Google Chat, via email. As always, Zenphi is very customizable. Now we want them to be able to submit requests through both options that Zenphi offers instead of having to fill out the form. So to make it easy, I have already pre-built the agent for you guys. So let me open that up. This is what it looks like. So we're going to go over the different sections and how you can customize this. So up at the top, you get to choose where the users interact with the agent. So you have two options. You can use Google Chat, where you can literally install the Zenphi Assistant and talk to it in Google Chat, your native environment. It's great, very simple. And you also have the Zenphi Assistant. So if you go to zenphi.ai, you'll be able to talk to the assistant as if you were talking to ChatGPT, to Gemini, any other tools like that. And you can select the agent you want to talk to in both places. We'll go over this more in just a second, but yes, here you can choose firstly, how do you want users to interact with this specific agent? Up at the top, you can give it a name. Now in the description, you need to be able to tell the agent what it's going to help users do and when they should use it. So in this case, to be able to request that temporary access to shared drives, and they'll need to gather the details and route them. You'll see the Zaya button available, so if you want to use it to optimize the description and the behavior guidelines, you can do that. Now, if you scroll down to the behavior guidelines, this is going to specify how the agent should behave, respond, and make decisions. So let's say you want it to validate one item at a time, ask one question at a time, if you want it to confirm before submitting, if you want it to use a specific kind of tone, if you want to indicate any of these behavioral guidelines as the name indicates, you can use that here. Now, over here, we're able to add the spaces and the information within the space that it should have access to. This is what's going to indicate what AI has access to provide the user. So you can add a specific space, you can add multiple if you want, and then once you select the space, you're able to select what tables and what flows it should have access to. Zenphi won't give AI access to anything that you don't provide here, making sure it remains as compliant as possible and everything is governed perfectly. So once you choose a table, you can even take it one step further by clicking on these dials to configure the filters in the columns. For example, we have these three, so you can add conditions like only access records where the requester's email is equal to, let's say, the email of the user talking to the chat, or the manager's email is equal to the user email. That way, only the user submitting the request or their manager can have access to those specific records. And even if they ask information for someone else, they won't be able to access it, and you can save. And same thing with the flow. You can add as many flows as you want. You can ensure that Zenphi won't be able to start processes using the agent for flows that you didn't indicate. So they won't be able to grant access to, for example, maybe an NDA request or for a leave request, because this agent doesn't have that information linked directly. So let's say I have this request pending for approval. I can also ask the Zenphi assistant if I have anything pending, making it super simple to be able to keep track of all of your submissions. So in this case, I'm the manager. This is the table that we've linked to our AI agent. Now make sure you always save and publish your agent to make sure the changes are visible. You can even test if you'd like to before you actually publish it. Now within Google Chat, if you do a backslash and go to Zenphi settings, you'll be able to choose what workspace it has access to in case you have multiple, and you can choose the AI agent. You can also choose auto here in the agent, and that's going to let Zenphi AI pick the best agent based on what you're asking, but if you prefer, you can also select from the dropdown. So I can ask it, for example, do I have any requests pending for review? If I open up the thread, I can see it says, yes, you have one request pending for your review. It is an access request from, and then it has the name of the person who submitted it. Make sure if you want to ask any other information, you keep responding in the same thread. That way, the assistant also has the information you've submitted previously to be able to answer your questions. Now moving on to another example, this one specifically is for HR, so a leave request. So a form is submitted with the information regarding the leave. And for this one, we'll go over everything within the assistant as well. The number of days of leave requested, the reason for the leave. And then if we scroll down, it first looks up their leave balance. And if it's enough leave, it'll subtract the leave, notify the requester, update the leave. We obviously don't want them to request more leave than they currently have. So for that agent, we have it over here. We have the description here. And then once again, we can add those specific guardrails. So we want the employee email to have to be the same as the user email. That way they can access the leave information for anyone else but themselves. Now, if you want to take it one step further and make the process a bit more complex by adding the manager step as well, you can also add the manager's email so that they can see what they have pending as well. I'll go ahead and add the step here just so that we can see it. So I'll add the manager approval, approve, reject, add the email. So I'll add mine just so that we can test, leave, request, submission, and you can add all the information here that you want to see, the person's email, any of that. So we'll add that here. You can choose the expiry, reminders as always. I'll add the email here as well. You can add a description. Indicating how many days they requested, obviously. So we'll add that. And now if approved, then we'll do everything else. So I'll move all of this over to this branch and change the name and then republish our flow. And then we obviously want to add the approver email here so that we can also add that to our guardrails. So I'll add that here and then save and publish. So now if I say I want to submit a leave request, it already has access to how many days of leave I have. So if I say, for example, I want 16 days of leave and I'll be going abroad. It already knows I don't have enough, so I can adjust. And I can also ask how many days of leave does Anna have? And it tells me I can't access that information without the current permission. That way, it's indicating that it can only show me the status of my request and my leave balance. So I can say, okay, and submit a request for, let's say, 6 days of leave. We can see that it's actually making sure to confirm the information. So we'll do yes. And keep in mind, this is how people would interact with your flow that have no idea how your flow is built. They're not the designers, they're the end users, the ones actually submitting. the request. So it's very simple for them to talk to this agent. There's no need for them to think about what form to fill out, where to go, which flow is doing what. They literally couldn't care less, and they'll be able to submit all of this information easily. You might notice that sometimes you'll encounter errors, but you can simply just submit again. And here we can see it's done and it's waiting for manager approval. Now, if the person who built the flow were actually to go to the flow and see what's going on, we can see there's an instance running. It sent the task out, and it's waiting for that part of the approval. If you wanted to check the status, all you have to do is respond in the same thread. Has it been responded to yet? And it'll let me know it's still waiting for manager approval. So you can keep asking about the status as long as you're in the same thread. But let's say I'm the manager. Do I have any leave requests to approve? You can see it's responded in the new thread. Now, what I can do is, since I'm the one approving that request, I can say, do I have any leave requests pending to approve? And here I can see I have one leave request pending approval. So here we would be able to see the information that we indicated in the task. So make sure you add as much information as you need. And then you can directly approve or reject from here. So if I do reject, it'll ask for your confirmation. So we'll just do reject again. And the leave request has been rejected that quickly. And if I go over to the table and I refresh, I can see the days remaining are still the same, so it didn't approve the leave request. If I refresh the flow, I can see it's completed and it was rejected. So that's great. So as you can see, this new feature that we're bringing to Zenphi, the AI Studio, is really the best of both worlds, both for the people building the flows and the people using it, because it's just that much faster now. If you guys have any questions, we're obviously going to have our Q&A session at the end of this webinar, but this is a very powerful feature that I hope a lot of you are able to use.